On the scene, face big chin, bottle of gin in the session. Texting Lickety keeps on tip. He's a man on a mission.
Hey Google, stop. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sullivan Project podcast. I'm your host, Harold Sullivan. Hey Google, set your volume to 50%. Hope everyone's doing well. Uh, be the light. You have a choice, like I said, love is a choice and so is to hate. It's easy to say that. Uh, well, it's not really easy to say that, but things get tough and you just are like, well, how am I going to do it? And then so you're like thinking about just being positive, but you have to, because if you don't, then you're already defeated. It starts with a thought, or a feeling. And feelings are the same, whether it's pain or pleasure. You're just telling yourself one thing or the other. So you can control that and go to a special place if you have to. Whatever you have to do, uh, that's not more harmful to yourself if you need it. Because it ain't peaches and cream. But this is the only way we get to experience this kind of existence or reality on this third level, third 3D, whatever it is. But we got a lot to talk about. A couple of sad things, too. We're going to get to that. Gene Hackman passed away recently. So we're going to talk about a few of my favorite Gene Hackman movies. And let's get into, first of all, I want to mention a couple podcasts, new podcasts. Well, one of them is one I've checked out before. Bloody Disgusting podcast. They have a website, and that's where I used to get all my horror news before I lost my sight. In case y'all haven't tuned in before, I lost my eyesight. As I'm recording this, it's about 3 years and 9 months. And I was born with an autoimmune disease, and I've been in a wheelchair since I was under 10. And I wasn't supposed to make it that long, and I'm 46. So I found the light after I lost my sight, if you might as well say. And I come to realize it doesn't have to be one thing or one name, okay? Just believe in something or believe in you, if anything. But there is something out there. There is a unseen stuff that interacts and helps things, and it's just not really explainable by sight. That's the only thing. And if you don't have the sight, then it exists, and you still exist, even though it's very difficult. A lot of times I feel like I don't, and I know I'm closer to the other side than I am here, but or other sides, there's many of them. Just think about onions, there's layers, and we can only see one with our sight. It's just one layer, but our senses pick up the other layers. So I just saw a flash of light just then, in case anybody document that. I've been seeing orbs and just all kinds of stuff. After a little while after I lost my sight, this started happening. The orbs were there immediately, kind of. But yeah, let's talk about these podcasts. Bloody Disgusting, very good. Once a week they have an episode, and they talk about horror movies and stuff coming up. So I'll bring you all news from different resources, including them. Another one is called The Telepathy Tapes, which I was just turned on to by a psychic, quote unquote, because we're all psychic. And it's really good. It's about a lot of children, autistic children that speak mind to mind. And this stuff is for real. I was like, but you know what? Out of so many tests and interviews and stuff, they have all this footage. This young lady who realized that autistic people and other people that don't speak or use tablets and stuff actually can read minds and talk to people through minds. It doesn't matter where they're at. And it's just amazing. Check it out. I don't want to spoil it. They have one season and they're working on a second season. And I was like, I don't know about this, but you know what? I don't know. Are all these parents, families, people, students, all this they're all in on hoaxes? And this has been going on for a long time, but it's happening more and more. And I think it's because these people are evolving more because they won't need to speak. Think about the aliens. If they came from the future, if they're us, they speak mind to mind. They got mouths and stuff, but they don't really need to use them. I think they take in food some other way unless they're robots. But think about in the future, or even in the past, people probably spoke mentally, that need because we're regressing. But maybe the new people are so sensitive that they can't talk and do other things, but they can read minds and stuff. It's just amazing. I don't know. And anyway, and then the other one is called the Superman Homepage Live, and it's one of the best Superman websites, and they have a podcast now. And it's hard to find ones that are up to date that keep stuff going, like Superman, because there isn't a lot of Superman news all the time, or every month, or every year. But now with the new movie coming out, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And again, Gene Hackman, Lex Luthor, in the movies just passed. So check out that one too, all three of them. I like to try to get on one or two of them, maybe. Uh, all three, I don't know. We'll see about it. I'm trying to get or expand our podcast. And another thing I want to mention was something called the Gifted program. Okay, this was something that came into school when I was in high school in the late '80s, not late '80s, late '90s probably, early to mid '90s, I'd say, early to mid to late '90s. Where they tested, but they always tested kids, and they always tested me, and I didn't know if I was the only one or what. But even when I was little, before I was even in school, I was tested with all these things all the time, where you had to put puzzles, you had to listen to things, you had to look at things, colors, you had to listen to things, you had to put pictures together, you had to do puzzles, you had to figure out all these things. And then in high school, I had to do the same things. And then I was actually in a class called Gifted, which I thought was just like, oh, quote unquote, the smartest kids. But now I come to find out that these were actually, I don't know if this one was here in this area, but these were actually tests to find out if kids had abilities and stuff. So they would, I guess they sent them to the schools or had the schools and government somehow put these out to test, or they would get the results to find out who had what going on. So maybe I had stuff going on back then I didn't even know, and it's something new about it. Because now I get radar images beamed into my head and everything. I think I'm actually doing telepathy, or what is that stuff called? Uh, uh, Remote viewing. I mean, I don't know what's going on here, and I'm not making it up. I'm not crazy. I'm not on any freaking narcotics uh, or drinking. But yeah, so I don't know if anybody else went through that. Let me know. You can hit up the podcast, Harold Sullivan 78 on YouTube and TikTok. That's Harold Sullivan and number 78. And then Facebook is Harold Sullivan period 35. And then you can call 724-513-1472. And you can email the show, hs19782015 at outlook.com. And we're in season 4. We just started. We got new cameos of celebrities up. I'm just doing whatever I can. After I lost my sight, I had a talk with Spirit. I didn't sleep for like 11 days, and I think they said that's the record. I might have went more than that. Because time doesn't have nothing. It doesn't mean nothing for real. It's not. You don't see a clock or daylight or dark. There's no clock or there's no time. I just saw another flash right there. And so I just laid in bed and just talked and thought and did a life review. I did so many things. And I said, hey, I'm here. I'm thankful. Because I almost died one time. I quit breathing 20 times on one day because I was really depressed and told God I didn't want to live. And it was like he shook me. And with the sleep apnea, yeah, I quit breathing 20 times. I don't wear that machine. I never could wear it. But I did get tested for it by mid 30s or early 30s. And they just said, well, just sleep as long as you can. And I do. But I don't even need to sleep anymore. It's weird. If I get an hour, I'm good. Uh, but I always got my brain going. All these things are coming in. I've listened to hundreds of audiobooks. I'm in my 20th time through the audio Bible, which is 87 hours. And I got the speakers like a couple months after I lost my sight. I started listening to podcasts and books. So this is crazy. The gifted program. I don't know if they still have that or if anybody else knows about what that is. But this was actually training. Like this is actually for them to find out ways, like sending out surveys to people without them really knowing what they're telling about, So I wanted to mention those, and then we're going to get into what else here. Ziggy, what are my stickies?
I found 10 notes.
This is how I take notes.
First note, Chick Flicks Technology, Gene Hackman, Cody 3 podcast gifted. Second note,
Ziggy, stop. I take notes with that and the Google and listen to books or movies. I listen to audio. So yeah, Gene Hackman passed away. He's 90. I just saw another flash right there. Passed 95, I think they said. Mike Lang, the Pittsburgh Penguins announcer, just passed 676. Just another flashlight. What is this? The fairies or angels or what? I believe it's one or the other. And there are people, all these things don't exist. No, you know what? They're like little lightning bugs. And they're not floaters because they're not just in the same spot. I mean, Plus, you have a feeling with it too. You have a knowing. See, that's how you know something is for real. If you have two or more senses connected, especially a feeling. You hear something and you have a feeling. You just know. Or you have a knowing, not a feeling. You just know. But Gene Hackman passed away. Him and his wife and the dog all found dead. And they're saying they don't know right now what's going on, what happened. My God. And also I want to mention Cody, a friend of mine. I didn't even know he was one of my nephews. A friend of my nephew had a brother, two brothers. And this one died last year or so. I didn't even know until someone told me. Greg told me, actually, because it's his nephew or great nephew or his cousin's son, who's a very nice lady, Dawn, and she's a nurse and everything. I kind of have a little crush on her. She was probably maybe a tiny bit older than me, a little, maybe around my age. And Cody maybe was in his 20s or 30s. And he was killed on an ATV or one of them things riding down the street, flipped over and landed on his head. My God. It wasn't drugs or none of these things, or it's just something like that. And it's just, why do these things, But everything is always for something. This is what I was trying to say. But I want to add him to the angel list, Cody. Just put him out there. He's graduated. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about technology too here. Technology and chick flicks and Gene Hackman. So let's get to that. Technology, let me mention here. Let's go back since I've been born, even before that, okay? They had phones where they used to have you would dial a number on your phone that was plugged in, and you would get a board with a lady, and you would tell her a couple of numbers, and that was where you wanted to call. It was just a couple of numbers because there wasn't that many phones. They started running out numbers. They had to add area codes and all these other things. It's just, you know, and then you got to where you had a phone that was plugged in, and you had to turn it around and around to dial it. Then you have buttons on it. Now you don't have to plug them in. They used to have long distance where you had to get phone cards and you could pay, and cheapest ones were like a couple pennies a piece. Or long distance would be thousands. I remember I ran up $1,000 phone bill when I was younger, calling somebody and didn't pay. I don't think it was actually a girl I met online, and we used to talk all night, every night, even fall asleep together. And I used to hear that beeping because her phone would be dying. It would be beep, beep, beep. Reminded me of a hospital, and I didn't like it. But I liked her, and I was like, you know what? If we end up together happily ever after, money don't mean nothing. Little did I know, like a couple of years later, she wouldn't talk to me anymore because it was getting stale, and so she wanted to go do other things. Well, here in New Jersey, I'm in PA. It's kind of easier to come and see me. I'm handicapped, but hey, you live and you learn. You got to live and learn before you bridge just burn. What's that song? I forget who that. Oh, I lip synced that for a video in drama class. We had to do something like lip sync a video was one of the projects. So I did lip sync that song. But good God, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, the technology, yeah. So you couldn't even call long distance unless you did a special thing or paid extra money. And then you had phones where you could pick up and hear the other person if you had more than one phone in the house. So it was just all kinds of crazy stuff. TVs, same thing. As far as TVs, old days, they had square TVs. They had ones on the floor. You used to have to hit them sometimes. Then they went to ones with these things called rabbit ears. And I kid you not, my oldest nephew is young enough to he's 30 something, in his late 30s. But he used to get up and hold the rabbit ear up in the air with foil for my mom when he was really young. Because you actually had to do that, put foil on it, try to get certain channels to come in because the TVs would just. I mean, people got TVs in their hand now. You got studios in your hand. Same with satellites. They had to have satellites to record radio years ago. To do, they couldn't even do. There wasn't even a podcast. It was radio, DJs and all that. Now you can do that at home with just earbuds, pretty much, because you want to block out stuff. You don't even have to have earbuds, but it's better to do it. Uh, Phones too. They also had to have them. The first cell phones were big giant phones with long antennas. They had car phones too, before they actually had like real cell phones. Then they had flip phones. They had flip phones. They had slider phones. They had Blackberries, which is like a dialing pad that you opened up. And I didn't have a Blackberry, but I had a flip phone, a slider phone, and you know what? Star Trek is where they came up with the cell phones because they had to communicate. You flipped open and called the ship. You know, there's so many things. Same with the tablets, came from Star Trek, The Next Generation. Uh, and see what else. Technology. I mean, cars, they haven't really come up much. You know, we got these AI machines here to talk to us and play things, but they're not. I just saw a flash there right before that. They're not good either. They're not up there. And I remember when I was 18, 19, uh, I had an organization trying to help me, you know, do skills, see what I could do, and I could type 12 words a minute just with two fingers back then. And they had that voice technology just coming out where you could talk to the computer and make it type, and it was crap. It was it messed up more than anything, and it really hasn't come that far, literally in 20-something years. So I'm doing the best I can with because my hands don't work that well. So I got the voice speakers and a computer that will read my email subjects when it comes in, or my Facebook message. Which reminds me, I can't use the portal, the Facebook portal anymore because they no longer are using the Alexa feature in it, or the Messenger, Facebook, or any of the stuff that I bought it for. So a couple years ago, I got it, and I could text with my voice on it. It would read out the text. I could call and text Facebook Messenger. It would do all that. I could do all these things. Now it didn't do anything anymore. And I don't know how they get you with that. You've paid the money, and you're just screwed because they shut off all the features. Google's doing that too now. They shut off podcasts, I think, other things. It don't even want to do the audio or the Google Play Movies anymore. So I think I'm switching to the Alexa show thingy, which is a screen I didn't even know they had in the beginning. So, but this is technology, and this is all since 1947 when Roswell ship crashed, right? Quote unquote. What happened? Where was technology before that? Where were the planes at? Where was it go? Where was computers at? Computers were as big as a refrigerator in the 60s and 70s because they were around. Now a computer is in your hand, basically, a phone. So, and maybe they came up with some of it. I don't think they came up with it all. But I just want to talk a little bit about how easy people have it today compared to people having to stand on a thing with metal or having to call a long distance. What about payphones? I don't even think they have them anymore. Uh, and so many jobs are lost too because of these things, because it's easier, you know, automated. And then what happens? Oh, another thing, I got DVD burner, right? Which I know a lot of people don't even have those or CDs anymore. But I want to do something on the podcast for I burn podcasts and songs for people like my buddy Chris that's on the podcast. He doesn't have a computer, doesn't use the internet. He's older than me, and he's fine. He's, you know what I mean? God bless him. But I want to be able to share with him stuff. So I'm like, I'll buy a DVD burner. Well, you know what? I get the DVD burner. Most of them don't work anymore. The software doesn't work. And the LightScribe software you can't get anymore to burn the image on a disc. It's like, wow, I spent the money. And that stuff wasn't even out that long ago, but that was, like 20 years ago or so. So I guess that technology didn't take off. We got to write on the disc again. But I'll make it work because I want to send him some episodes because he's on episodes and he can't never listen to them or see them. So it's all about trying to help. It'll come back to you, just like if you do dirt. So, hey Google, what did I want you to remember?
Here's what you told me. First, phones, TV, transportation, computers.
Hey Google, delete the first one.
Done. It's forgotten.
We're going to talk about some chick flicks too, which I never used that term, but that's what they call romantic comedies nowadays. And these are some of my favorites. Some are older, uh, probably most of them are, but they might be ones that people don't know about too. Because I don't want to just always mention random or what everybody else does. I don't want to mention that stuff. So, hey Google, what did I want you to remember?
Here's what you told me. First 51st dates, never been kissed. She's all
Hey
that
Google,
naughty hell
stop. Okay, the first two I believe were what's her name? Oh my God. 51st dates and never been kissed. The girl from E.T. I think she was married to Adam Sandler. Like her mind is her mind freaking thing is, and she was in that one where she went back to high school undercover. That might have been one of those two movies. I think it was Never Been Kissed. I can't remember what the little girl's name is from Firestarter and E.T. Good God, I got so much in there. You know what I mean? But y'all know who she is. And then we got uh, Runaway Bride. I think that was one I mentioned. Julia Roberts, which was based on a true story where this lady kept leaving guys at the altar, but it was good. Notting Hill's another Julia Roberts, where this guy falls in love with this famous actress who walks into his bookstore one day, and they try to make it work. I actually went to the theater to see both those alone when I was younger. Hey Google, what did I want you to remember?
Here's what you told me. First 51st dates, never been kissed. She's all that Notting Hill runaway bride cuz. There's something about Mary.
Hey Google, stop. She's all that, which is Channing Tatum, I believe. Oh man, and that girl, I can't remember her name. Hillary, is it Hillary? No. One of the Disney girls anyway. But she's on a soccer team. She pretends to be a boy or something. It's kind of romantic. I don't know. I like some of the stuff that Channing Tatum was in, and it was a sports movie. What do you say? I didn't see that at the movies alone though. And another one, Coyote Ugly. I did go see that, and that was about the actual bar where women run it and they do all these crazy stuff. And what's that girl's name? Piper something. The lead actress. There's a couple other people in it. I think I just spit or drool on myself. Good God. And but it's really good though. And then Crossroads is of course is Britney Spears. I went to see that and Coyote Ugly alone. What Women Want is another one I can mention. That's Mel Gibson, where he can hear women's thoughts. So it's funny because he goes and tries to do all these things, and plus I think he's like a writer, so he's writing about and testing women's products, and it's just neat how he's like trying to make the women happy because he can hear them and he knows what they want. So he gets this little gift called "What Women Want." Uh, what else did we get there? The wedding, Runaway Bride. She's all that. Hey Google, what did I want you to remember?
Here's what you told me. First 51st dates, never been kissed. She's all that Notting Hill runaway bride cuz. There's something about Mary.
Hey Google, delete the first one.
Done.
Notting Hill. There's something about Mary, which is Cameron Diaz and Ben Stiller, and you even have Brett Favre show up later, a bunch of other people, and it's a date, and that's like the girl of his dreams, and plus a lot of other girls, or other guys too, and then it's like there's always this girl in a group that has like this fan club, and this is a movie about that. I haven't experienced that in my life with somebody, and it was all different kinds of guys too, and they were all trying to impress the same girl, doing whatever they could, whether it was lying, cheating, stealing, whatever, you know what I mean? Which just be you. None of that's worth it because you're hurting yourself first of all, because then you think you're not worth it because you have to fake to be you, and you wouldn't find that out if you didn't fake to be you. And then second of all, it's a waste of time, and you hurt the other person lying. That's three things. There's more than that. So, and we got a couple other ones. The Hot Chick, which is Rob Schneider switches bodies with this girl. It's funny. Hey Google, what did I want you to remember?
Here's what you told me. First, Coyote Ugly, the hot chick, where women want crossroads. Second,
Hey Google, delete the first one.
Done.
Okay, that was all that. And then we're going to talk about some, I just saw some kind of flash there. I saw my, if somebody sees these, point them out in the comments on YouTube or let me know, uh, like at the time or whatnot, and someone can review them for me. Uh, we got EVPs too. Go check those out. We get EVPs constantly on here. There was one, we're talking about the pre-Sully's podcast, which I just did the first ever Sully Awards. Because my last name is Sullivan, you know. My hockey nickname, I used to play street hockey in the power wheelchair with Sully. I just saw something there. So Gene Hackman, some of his best movies. Now I want to make a correction. We did best movie presidents as a category earlier this year, and I mentioned Air Force One, and I said Harrison Ford, but it was Gene Hackman actually the president in that movie. So Air Force One, yeah, of course he plays the president. Good, very good movie, Gene Hackman. We got Misery with James Caan, and Kathy Bates, where the lady is a Stephen King story, and she's like a possessive fan over a writer. Everybody knows the title. You might not know the movie. And these are Gene Hackman. Unforgiven, the cowboy movie, very great. Bonnie and Clyde, some of these are older. Good. Another, like a gangster, bad, good, good, bad. Of course, you know Bonnie and Clyde. Or people may know who it was. A couple of gangsters, famous gangsters. I'm thinking that's the same one that dude was in to play Dick Tracy, Warren Beatty. Boy, that was a long time ago. But Gene Hackman always looked the same to me. Even since I saw him in Superman, of course, first, and then Hoosiers. And that was back in the 60s, maybe? I just saw a flash there again. Boy, they're on today. And he looked the same, like he's one of them people that either made a deal, which I don't want, it sounds cruel now that he's gone. But I thought to myself, there's just people that don't age. Like he just drank something, jokingly or made a deal, and he just never aged from a certain point because he's always looked the same. But anyway, Hoosiers, yeah, let me mention that. That has, good God. He's a basketball coach, and it's about the Indiana Hoosiers. I think it's based on a true story. Very good, though. And the father of one of the kids was a drunk alcoholic, and he was very smart, and I can't remember the dude's name. He was in Texas Chainsaw 2. I keep forgetting it the last couple of days. And he was also in Land of the Dead, plus tons of other movies. And I can see him in my mind right now. He died a couple of years ago. But he was in that movie. And then what else did we have here? Hey, Google, what did I want you to remember?
Here's what you told me. First, Misery, Air Force One, Bonnie and Clyde, Unforgiven, Superman, The Replacements, Hoosiers.
Hey, Google, stop. And then Superman, of course, he plays Lex Luthor in, I think, 3 out of the 4. That was really one of my first introductions to him when I was a kid, in the 80s. I was born in 78. And then The Replacements is one of his later movies, and The Royal Tenenbaums, and the other one. There's just so many, my God. The Replacements, he's another coach. Keanu Reeves is in there, and it's about that season, like kind of the scab players came in, and John Madden and Pat Summerall. John Madden and Pat Summerall, they're on there. They call games, and he's the coach. Gene Hackman. It's a comedy kind of. He just always played that intellect, like a very smart, like a good, kind of could be a bad guy, but just, I don't know, like genius type. A little funny as Lex Luthor and some of but the first one he was just villainous, he wanted to just crash down to California and didn't really care. Or even cared that Miss Teschmacher's family is going to be destroyed in New Jersey, right? But I think that was all the movies. Some of my favorite Gene Hackman. I mean, we're just losing them left and right. Good Lord. But that's why you got to do it now. You know what I mean? There is no second. We live and die in the blink of an eye. So if you got to say something, say it now. If you want to get it out on the podcast, call me. Leave a message. If I don't answer, leave a message. Yeah. Sometimes I repeat because if I don't say something clear, I want to make sure y'all can hear me. my frequency and stuff is so high, I got to try to lower it. And I realized that on my spiritual path, that I'm vibrating a little faster. So I got to come down and talk, as well as speaking so people can understand me with certain words. Like I learned to dumb myself. When I was a kid, I could say 88 words. And they say it now, the average is 50 words for a 2-year-old. I could say 88 when I was 2. 88 words. A lot were swear words, but. And I had an old cassette tape from when I was maybe a teenager or a little younger that I found from, and I listened to my mom had from Kmart. I don't even know if there is a Kmart anymore, but they used to sell audio cassettes, which was something else before CDs. And I remember when I first heard CDs, and then we had 5-disc CD changers. I remember someone had one, and that was like the coolest thing, and they were rich, and you had to be at a certain point. But the first time I heard a CD, it was a soundtrack, had like greatest songs, and it had Star Trek theme from the Next Generation. And I was like, wow, that sounds so cool. You know, I mean, now I kind of think records and now that sounds good as I got older, but CDs and that are clear, but there's just something about the digital they take away and the imperfections sound better. But yeah, we're gonna go and like I said, you only have now, so if you do wrong, make it up and just don't do it again. All right, you can repent. You don't have to believe in something or be in a religion. As long as you know what's wrong and you don't do it again, and you feel bad about it, and you don't want to hurt yourself, because the worst thing is how you feel inside. Nobody else can do anything or make you feel as bad. Just like you can't do anything to anybody else to make them hurt as bad as they hurt inside. And fight fire with water. I love y'all. Love's a choice, and so's the hate.